Hello, hello. Can you guys hear me? Anybody? Can you confirm if you can hear me or not? I just want to make sure you can hear me before I start talking. All right, yes. Good evening, everybody, or good morning, um, wherever you guys are. Friday night. Awesome. Told. Thank you very much for confirming that. We'll wait a few minutes for people to come and then we can get going. Hello, Mike. How you doing? Happy Friday. I usually don't do live on Friday, but today I have a free night. So I thought I would come on and say hello and maybe talk about gardening and have a beer or whatever you guys are drinking. Vaughn, finish up moving my plants to solar cups to full planters today. Excited. Yeah. I did that today too. I moved a bunch of plants around today. Oh man, it's a lot of work, but it was fun. It was a beautiful day, and here in Texas. Hello, Chicago. How's the weather in Chicago right now? Is it still cold? Right now we're up in the 70s, 80 degrees almost. So we're very warm. Costa Rica. David, hello there. Wow. Matthew from Texas, Austin. Go Austin. Austin is probably one of the most beautiful cities in Texas. And I think by the looks of this, Austin may be the next Silicon Valley. With all of these huge company moving here. Yeah, I'm having a good Friday right now. I'm having free time, so that's why I'm here. Oregon, hello. Oregon, I've been to Oregon a few times. Is it? Yeah, Oregon. Yeah. How's the weather in Oregon right now? Is it really nice? Yes, Austin is great. I think, yeah, Austin probably between like Dallas, Houston, and Austin. Austin's probably one of the nicer cities, and lots of things to do. People are really nice. Of course, in the South, we're all nice. Hello, Nate. Good to see you. Aaron, buddy. Glad you can join. Thanks for being here with me on a Friday night. Does it get cold in Austin? It rarely get cold. It's very similar to Dallas weather, really. It doesn't freeze often. It drops down to usually in the wintertime, you can wear shorts. I mean, not always, but you can sometimes. Wichita Falls. That's a really nice place. Nice and quiet. Jose, I've been wintering Carolina Reapers for 2 years now. Any idea how long I can keep them going? Super hots can live up to 5 years if you keep them in the right condition. So yeah, just keep them going. The second year is actually the best years. They produce much better in the second year because they're mature. In the third year, they're still going to produce, but eventually they start to slow down because peppers don't live that long. I mean, it can give up from 3 to 5 years, but it starts slowing down after that. There are plants like these Hawaiian chilies or something like the bird chilies. It can live up to 10 years. Let's see. I'll go to the comment and see what I can answer. But I'm glad you guys are here. We have 40 people. Good to have everyone here. Aaron, man, you know, my succulents made it through the crazy Texas winter storm. I mean, none of them died except for the jade. The jade died, but everything else is, you know, still good. And the ghost plants, man, those things are unkillable. After the Texas storm, you know, the freeze and everything, I came outside, and you know, a few days later, my succulents are just fine. They no damage at all. Yes, you're right. Aaron, Pekins can live for a very long time. So I had a Pekin for 4 years. It finally died because of the crazy weather. But usually, if you keep them in the right condition, they can live for a very long time. Any chilies that can survive winter. Most chili cannot survive winter. If your winter is mild, like, you know, if it drops down to the high 40s to 50 degrees Fahrenheit, the chilies can be fine. But if it drops down to the 30s for an extended period, like, you know, 24, 48 hours, it'll be dead. So yeah, no chilies can survive winter. Ant! What's up, Ant? Ant is my buddy, guys. Say hello to Ant from California. Thoughts on fabric grow bags versus normal pots for frequency of watering. You know, for the fabric pots, they're great. I don't like them as much anymore because my Texas temperature is just too crazy. So the pots dry up very quickly. So what I had to do was I had to buy these little saucer to put at the bottom of the fabric pots to try to help keep the water there and keep it, you know, keep the plants hydrated longer. But a fabric pot doesn't work well for me. It just dries too quickly. And you literally have to water every day if I use fabric pots in the 100 degrees Fahrenheit Texas weather. Obsessive Gardener, hello, my friend. Oh, I'm glad you got the seeds. I hope you like what I sent you. Derek, you're growing lemon starburst indoors right now. All right, lemon starburst are one of the best peppers to grow, my friend. They're gorgeous, and they produce a ton, and they taste great too. What's a good container size for hot peppers? It depends on what variety you're growing. If you grow super hots, I suggest at least 5 gallons and up. You can get away with, like, you know, 4 gallons for a Thai or bird's pepper. But if you've grown Chinense varieties, at least 5 gallons and up, because they can grow massive. Have you ever let your germinating seeds overheat? Do you think 105 degrees for 12 hours would kill them? No, it would not kill them, but 100 is a bit too high. Keep them in the like 75 to 85 degrees in the soil, and they will be fine. Hotter than that, they'll struggle. So try to keep them lower. But 100 degrees they're not gonna kill the plants. Hello from Canada. The situation in Texas, you mean like the crazy winter storm we had? I think everything is past now, so we're back to normal. So we're good. Thank you for that. Let's see, Derek. I feel like direct sun to soil is best. Yeah, I mean, it depends if how hot your climate is. Direct sun could be good for pepper plants. But if it's direct Texas heat sun, like 100 degrees, 95 degrees Fahrenheit, that's a little bit too much. Let's see. Craig Valdez, any advice for someone who wants to start crossing peppers? I would, you know, check some of the videos that I already created on how to cross peppers and watch that. I put a lot of information in there from start to finish, and if you watch those videos, it'll be a good start for you as a first time crossing, you know, peppers. Good day, Australia. How you doing, Aiden? Thanks for joining me from Australia. Will you make your update videos more frequent when the plants get a little bit bigger? Luke, I usually do, I record over a span of maybe a month or so, maybe even longer. I don't release videos weekly because I feel like in 2 to 3 weeks, you don't see much changes. So I record, 2 weeks changes, 3 weeks changes, 4 weeks, and then I put them all together in one video. That way, you guys don't have to wait for the update. You just watch everything at one time. Mighty Noor, how are the pear trees? Oh man, the pear trees are doing fantastic. And I have a video coming up that I've been working on for the last few years. I recorded my pear trees for the entire year. So I'm going to show you guys to that. I'm going to upload that very soon, so you can get to see the entire year of how the trees progressed and all that stuff. Cooper, hi Cooper. Thanks for joining me, Cooper. Cooper is my nephew, guys. He's awesome. I love you, Cooper. Okay, let me see. Hello, Philippines. Hello from the Philippines. Good to have you. Let's see. Have you ever tried to grow fruit trees from cuttings? Yes, I have. It's very difficult. Growing fruit trees from cutting is very tough. But I have been doing air laying. I did air laying on my fruit trees, and it's working. I think air laying is a much better way to get a clone of a tree to grow. Rooting it from, rooting is very difficult. I get like about 90% failure. Does citrus hydroponic work? Yes, citrus will work in hydroponic. I grew what is it? The kumquat trees, of 2 trees from hydroponic. And then when they got too big, I had to put them into soil. So yes, it does work, but hydroponic, of course, is not recommended for growing fruit trees because a fruit tree takes a very long time. So it's a lot of work to grow hydroponic fruit trees. I wouldn't recommend it to you guys. Can you use garden soil on pots, or do you just use only potting mix? You can use garden soil in pots. It depends how good your garden soil is. Are you talking about the garden soil that you buy at the like Home Depot and all that stuff? Usually, I wouldn't just use the garden soil that they sell. Mix in something with it to make it softer and not so heavy when you put in pots, because when you put soil in pots and when you water over time, the soil becomes very compacted, and when the compaction causes problem for the roots to move around and stuff like that. So in the pot, it's not that great. So try to use really soft soil, loosen up every once in a while. And like each year, what I usually do is each year I would, if I grow my fruit trees in a pot, for like every beginning of the season, I would shaken up the pot, remove some of the top layer, and add new dirt, kind of freshen it up a little bit. Make sure the dirt are nice and loose, and so that the roots can move around. Those are the best. Yes, Aaron, you're right. Fruit trees is from seed is very difficult. The reason for that is because some fruit trees will take 5 to 10 years before it will start to fruit or put out flowers. That is the reason why people buy grafted trees, because if you buy grafted trees, sometimes if you buy the large enough grafted trees, it will fruit the first year, or if it doesn't, then it will fruit the second year. That's the reason people buy grafted trees. Derek, living soil inside a container works great. Yes, my friend, you are right. Living soil is always the best type of soil. Let's see, Josh, advice on Scotch bonnet plants that is flowering but not producing fruits. I'm currently still growing in the tent and I don't have much sunlight where I'm at. See, that's the problem. When the condition is not right, the plant will not set fruits. It will, but it's not going to be, it's not going to do as much. So peppers need at least 6 to 8 hours of sunlight. So the more sun you can give it, the better the plants are going to do. Let's see, Rustbox, have you tried what is naphtha? Sorry, I don't know that word. Spray to prevent flowers from fruit to drop. You know what? I never use any type of spray to help the plant from dropping flowers. If your soil is mixed correctly with the right amount of stuff, organic matter, the plants will naturally fruit. So I try to keep things as simple as possible. I don't use additional stuff if I don't have to. It's like I don't use foliar spray. Um, I don't use any spray to help keep the fruits. I don't use any of that. I just keep it as simple as possible. I mix a good mix of soil for my raised bed and my container, and then I feed it organic stuff that is balanced throughout the season, and the plant just produce on their own. Also, when you use a balanced fertilizer without overfeeding the nitrogens, you have like reductions in pests like aphids and stuff like that. So yeah, I'm learning throughout the years, and in my first few years, I've experimented with many different types of fertilizer, and I learned that over the years, it's like you try to use less of the nitrogen, because if you have excess of nitrogen in your soil, your plant is going to suffer, but also you're going to get a lot of pests like aphids. Aphids are so attracted to high nitrogen contents in the soil. Let's see. I'll go to sometimes I started talking and I forget to read the comments. Normal for pepper tree to drop lots of flowers? No, that is not normal. When your plant is dropping lots of flowers, there is a problem. If you're growing in hydroponic, the problem could be because you have a high nitrogen feed in the hydroponic solutions, or your solution is not balanced, it's not pH balanced. It's preventing the plants from uptaking the proper nutrients to keep the flowers. The plants only drop a lot of flowers because there's a problem. Let's see. Foliage feeding is definitely supplement feeding, and it's worth it if you are bored. Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, Derek, you're probably right. And as I mentioned, I don't use anything excess if I don't need to. So foliar spray, I never use them. Let's see what anything that's extra that I don't need, I never use them. Let's see, Ryan, does a cheap $20 grow light from Amazon actually work well enough to produce fruit? Yes, I have actually bought a $20 light from Amazon, and I have grown a pepper plant, and that would produce fruit. Yes, it can. But the plants are going to have to be small, because that $20 light is only going to cover a very small space. So you're going to have to prune the plant. You're going to have to keep it small. Also, you're going to have to keep it very close, because those plants are usually not very strong. Have you ever grown sweet potatoes? If so, any advice? Yes, I grow sweet potatoes all the time, but I don't grow the sweet potatoes for the potatoes. I grow the sweet potatoes for the young shoots. We eat the young shoots of the sweet potato. So I'm not interested in the potato itself, but the leaves are just so much better. I mean, for me, in my opinion, at least. Yes, I do use worm casting. Worm casting is probably one of the best natural fertilizer you can use in your garden. It's very balanced, and it's very easy to use. Jeff Math, ever have any new crosses germinate but not grow pods or any grow sterile pods? Not yet, but that could happen because, you know, if you create certain varieties that are not compatible, then, you know, like if you're able to get seeds to grow the next generation, they should produce pods. I haven't had that problem yet. Roger, what's with the tomato hornworms on chili plants? Man, those things are horrible. They eat the, you know, the plants. They can strip the plants clean in a matter of days. Tomato hornworm is one of the biggest pests on tomato, of course, tobacco, and as well as chili. They love chilies and tobaccos, so you have to be careful and watch for them. A way for me to prevent tomato hornworms is I grow a bunch of different type of plants and flowers that attract these bees and wasps into the garden. And I'm telling you guys, these wasps will eat up all of the caterpillars. Man, last year I have like, every time I go into the garden, I see like 10 or 20 wasps flying around. And because of those guys, my entire garden has no worms in it. They ate up everything. They're just, it's fantastic. So grow flowers, grow basils, and, you know, grow different type of plants that attract these big wasps into the garden. Not the yellow jackets, like the paper wasps and all this other stuff. And they will eat up all of the tomato hornworm for you. Look, do you speak positive affirmations to pepper plants? Yes. I tell them how great they look all the time. I was like, grow, you beautiful plants. When do I get an update on your wise pepper plants? The Queenie, yes, I'm actually growing 2 of those right now. They're fantastic variety. I think I'll show you guys that very soon. I have 2 plants growing. And this year I'm very excited because I'm trying new things. Every season I have something new to do. So if that works, I'm going to share it with you guys. It's just some new method of growing that I'm trying. Ponton from Austin. Good to see you, buddy. Shade cloth. Yeah, you know what? Shade cloth does work. I just don't use it because I don't buy extra stuff. And you know, I don't know, you know, a shade cloth is a must if you live in like the desert and stuff like that, and you want to grow peppers. You're right, Aaron. One for me and one for Ron. Yes, the wasp will eat almost any kind of caterpillars it can catch. So, you know, there's a balance. You know, it's good and it's bad, but for the most part, it's good. Roger, you're growing Tabasco peppers from seed, 100% success. That's awesome. Tabasco plants are some of the easiest plants to grow, and they're also one of the heaviest producer of any variety that you can grow. They just produce like crazy. Um, they're fun plants to grow. You know, they're pretty because they produce so much. Will you go live on Instagram with me? You know, I've never gone live on Instagram before. I don't even know how to do it. So, you know, on Instagram, I basically get on, I post and get off. So, you know, sometimes people are like, hey, how come you don't reply to messages? Yeah, sorry. I just get on and get off. really, I don't even know how to use Instagram that much. I just know how to do a post, write a few tags, and that's it. Ernest, back to basics. How are you, my friend? Good to see you. Ernest, I've been following your bread making. Man, you're getting so good at it. You need to teach me. What is the heaviest producing chinense? I would say, from what I have grown before, there is the ghost pepper for sure. Is a heavy producer. Just the red ghost. And also in the past, I grew habanero. Man, habanero are like crazy producers. Let's see the. I also grew a variety in the past called the Jay's Peach Ghost crossed with a chocolate ghost, and that variety produces like crazy too. So there are many chinense varieties that produce a lot. Yes, orange Thai, basically orange Thai, white Thai, red Thai, I mean, any kind of Thai, they produce a lot. So Thai in general are very heavy producer. But if you like peppers that produce a lot, grow a variety called the Santaka. This is a Japanese variety that produces in clusters. And every cluster you can get like 10 to 12 peppers, and they have a ton of clusters, and clusters on top of clusters with 20 to 40 peppers. It's amazing to look at. They're really cool. So yeah, look up some Santaka variety. Cheers, everybody. Happy Friday night to y'all. Let's see. Yeah, guys, if you have not grown the white Thai, the Kingstar white Thai variety, you definitely should grow it. It's a beautiful variety that produces like crazy. And it's very nice. It tastes awesome. And every year I have to grow like 4 or 5 plants. So I never go without it. Wow, we have 78 people from I guess all over the place. How can you make tomato plant stems thicker? Give it a lot of light. Tomato loves lots and lots of light. If you give them enough light, the stem would be very thick and strong. If they don't get enough light, they're going to stretch and they grow like vines and they just fall over. So I'm growing a few tomato varieties right now. The stems are like the size of my thumb and larger. They're enormous. Which superhot, in your opinion, is produces the most? I think I just mentioned that, right? The ghost pepper is a great one. The habanero, those are I don't know if habanero considered super hot or not, but they're really hot and they produce a gazillion pods. But ghost variety for sure, man, those things produce like crazy. Good night, Mike. Good to have you. Thanks for joining. Oh, the overworked gardener. Yes, the cold snapped in Texas that we had really set my garden back. It killed all of my fruit trees except the pear trees, of course. It killed my lime tree, and now I had to buy a lime tree and start over. I had a huge lime tree that was like 3 years old, and it was big. So now I had to buy a new Persian lime from Home Depot. And guys, the price on limes, trees are so expensive these days. I spent 29 bucks and I bought it's like literally 2 feet tall. It's so small. And I used to pay the same thing for like an enormous tree like that looks like it's 4 years old. Something happened. I mean, I guess everybody is just going out and buying fruit trees. Yes, Steve, bear's lime, Persian limes or bear's lime, the seedless variety. Uh, uh, is it worth starting from seeds? What start seeds for like fruit trees? Definitely not. Don't start fruit tree from seeds. They take forever. I mean, I guess that depends on what. Like orange tree, pear trees, apple trees, peach trees. Don't start them from seeds unless you have a lot of time. It'll take like 5 to 7 years before they will start to produce fruits. I have a lime tree also started from seed. It's 2 years old and it still hasn't done anything. Angel, yes, lime tree is a must because lime and lemon, because I make a lot of hot sauce and I use a lot of lemon and lime, so it only makes a lot of sense for me to buy the lime trees and grow it myself. But yeah, I'm definitely not starting the limes and lemons from seeds because it's gonna take forever to produce fruit. As I mentioned, I did grow uh, a lime tree. It's in the backyard right now, and it's 2.5 years, and it still hasn't done anything. So, and in 2.5 years, I could have got a plant from like a nursery, and it would already produce limes for me. Aaron, you gotta share the finger limes with me, buddy. I've been trying to get that tree forever. Texas has a very strict law for citrus. You cannot ship citrus out of state into Texas. So I've been trying to get the finger lime, but they don't ship here, so I'm stuck. So J Rocks, thanks for your video on topping peppers. Our peppers are looking so great this year. Yeah, I did a video recently about topping pepper. As I mentioned, it's a very controversial topic because some people hate the idea of topping and some people swear by the idea of topping. And then again, I top my peppers because I grow the peppers inside very early. And man, they grow out of control. It takes up all the space in my grow room. So I don't have a choice but to prune and top them to keep them under control before I can take them outside. So as soon as they go outside, normally I don't top them anymore. Hang! Happy Friday! Yes, this is very out of the blue. It's just I don't usually do live on Friday, but today I'm home alone. The kids and the wife are out, so I have some free time. So I thought I would come on and say hello. Yes, pepper plants do naturally split into two tops. It splits into a Y, and the Y will grow, and it splits again, it splits again. So yes, naturally they will split. How many pepper plants do I grow outside each year? So each year I try to grow under like 20 plants, but I always end up more than that. So right now I think I have more than 20 plants. Does Texas have avocado tree? Yes, we do have avocado trees here. We have the you normally you will find what the Mexicola variety, the Lila variety, and the Joey in Texas, because those are a little bit more cold hardy than the rest. Those are the ones that you find. I grew a Lila variety and then the cold killed it. It was beautiful too. It was going really nice. I wish I would have taken it inside. Your thoughts on the dragon's breath pepper? I've tried it before. It wasn't as hot as I thought. Some people say it's hot. Most people say it's not. I don't think, when I saw the pods, I don't think there's anything special about it. So I never had the urge to want to grow it. So I don't know. I mean, some people are growing it right now, but yeah, it didn't taste good to me, so I didn't like it. So I didn't want to grow. I have seeds for it. I just don't want to grow it. How often do you see different color mature peppers on the same plants? That's really rare. Like the Chinese 5 colors, you can see different colors on the same plants. Some ornamental plants, like you can see different colors. But usually sometimes you see different colors, but they ripen up to the same color. That's the thing. Sometimes, the plants would be green, purple, orange, and red. And then once they fully ripe, they all turn red. But if you see mature fruits that are all different colors, that's really rare, and that's a good variety to keep around because it probably is very pretty. Board Eats, I recognize your name. Thank you so much. I see a bunch of your comments, and I tried to reply, and I'm happy that you're here. Thanks for always showing up and say hello. Board Eats, good to have you. How come your flowers on your pepper plants fall off? There's many reasons why flowers fall off. The very first reason is because the plant is unhealthy. It could be because overwatering. Overwatering caused the plants to stress from the roots, and they would turn yellow and become sick, and they would drop all of the flowers. Another reason they drop flowers is the temperature is too hot. If it is too hot, the plants would drop all of the flowers until it becomes, cool enough into the right range that they want to produce. The best temperature for pepper plants to produce is between 70 degrees to 80 degrees. That is the best temperature. If it gets into the 90s to 95 degrees Fahrenheit, the plants usually suffers. And if the sun is beating down on it also, then it also does the same thing. It will drop all of the flowers. Another reason is if you over fertilize with nitrogen, high nitrogen contents will cause the plants to try to grow instead of fruit. And they will drop all of the flowers to try to grow. So that's the reason. And then lastly, of course, because there's pests. This could be mites or bugs or something that's biting the peppers that you can't see. They could be very small, so check it. Watch your plants. If the plants look healthy, there's something wrong with it. The leaves should be nice and green, and the plant should be healthy and grown straight up. If the leaves curled up or leaves curled down, there's some problem. The plants will tell you that is having problem. You can easily spot a problem plant and a healthy plant. They look totally different. Is rainwater better than sink water for indoor pepper plants? Rainwater is always better than sink water for any plants, indoors or outdoors. Have you ever grown purple UFO or Dracula peppers? I have not grown the Dracula peppers, but friends have sent me pods. Those plants are very pretty. The purple UFO is also very pretty as well. I don't like the taste on them very much, but if you grow them for ornamental purposes, man, they are gorgeous. Scotch bonnet is your favorite? Yes, it's mine as well. I love Scotch bonnet. It is probably the most versatile of all the Chinense varieties because they're nice and sweet, and they're just very tasty. There are also many different kinds of Scotch bonnets. If you pick the right kind, you will love the way they taste. Krista, Vegas don't know what rain is. I feel you because sometimes Texas don't know what rain is also. And then sometimes, we don't get rains for months. And then all of a sudden we get weeks of rain that is just too much. We either get too much rain or too little rain. Texas is crazy sometimes. Yeah, habaneros are great. I mean, they're very common, and a lot of people don't like to grow them because they're common. But I love habaneros. Habaneros are just solid variety. They're easy to grow too. They're very, very easy to grow, and you don't have to, tend to them too much. Serrano is actually also one of my favorite. I gotta have Serranos. Which Scotch bonnet is your favorite? Usually the yellow Scotch bonnet. And also the MOA Scotch bonnet. Those are my favorite Scotch bonnets. But there's so many mislabeling of MOA Scotch bonnet that you no longer know which MOA is the right one. So it's very difficult. I do have the MOA. It's awesome. I've been growing for years, and it's just amazing. So sometimes people rename plants, which really kills me, because why do you take the same plants and just rename it? Now you have the same plant with different names that confused everybody. But yeah, I mean, Drew, thank you so much for the donation, my friend. I want to build a raised bed and for a greenhouse for my peppers. Is that a good idea? Yeah, I mean, grow. Should I have a shade screen above my pepper in summer? It depends on where you live. I live in Texas, and shade screen is a must. You can reduce the sun by 40% in Texas, and your plants will do well. A raised bed is always good because what it does is it allows you to mix your own soil, but it also keeps the plants elevated, and also it keeps the weed off of the peppers, so there's less competition. So raised bed is actually really good for pepper varieties, or any plants in general. What is the best method for seed sprouting? There is no better method than just the regular soil method. Just throw it in a nice soft soil seed starting mix. Keep your soil nice and moistened, and drop the seeds in there. Keep them warm, and they will sprout. There's no need to spend money on, like, what are those, the gel or any other these crazy stuff that people sell to try to start seeds. Don't buy any of those. It's pointless. It's just a waste of money. The soil method is the best method. And if you can't, put them in a wet paper towel, nice and moistened paper towel. Put them in a Ziploc bag. Put it under grow light. Put it on top of your refrigerator if it's cold. The refrigerator will help it, keep it warm, and it will sprout. You don't need to spend a ton of money on on sprouting seeds. It's very easy. Yes, the dirt method is the best method. When did you start growing vegetable? I have always grown vegetable for as long as I remember. I used to grow vegetable with my grandfather when I was a little child, and I guess that's where the love come from for growing plants. Steve, you forgot to turn on your heating mats. Man, you're killing your plants. Yeah, plants, like any kind of plants, like peppers, for example, tomatoes, they're warm weather plants, so they do need some heat to sprout. If it's too cold, they don't sprout very well. So try to give them some nice nice temperature, and they will sprout no problem. Oh, a lot of people use egg carton. Those egg cartons are pretty cool because you can just tear it out, and they can be placed in the dirt, because the egg carton would decompose, and the plant just shoot its roots out. Yes, 60 degrees is too cold for peppers. They won't die. They'll still grow in 60 degrees, but they're not going to grow very much. So you're going to see very slow progress until it gets into the 70 degrees Fahrenheit, and that's when it's going to start to take off. When do I normally stream? I usually do it on Saturday or Sunday between 2 p.m. to 4 p.m. Central. Today, Friday, this is the first time I've done a Friday stream. It's because I have free time, and the family is out and about somewhere. So that's why I'm here having a beer with you guys and talk about garden. Oh man, you know what? Funny you talk about strawberries. My baby wanted to pick strawberries, And right now we can't go anywhere, so I decided to grow some strawberries. If you get the bare root strawberries, they grow much faster, of course, because they're already ready to start. From seed, it's going to be a little bit longer. I mean, if you have the time to invest, then grow from seeds. But bare root strawberries are awesome because you can put them in the soil and they pretty much grow right away. And that's what I did. I picked up a few plants from Home Depot. You buy them in a pot, right? And they put a whole bunch of them in there. And sometimes you pick one that has a lot of strawberry plants. What you can do is you take the pot out and you get a spray, like a jet spray, and you spray it, and you can divide all of the strawberries. And you can get like, I think I got 6 strawberry plants for just a few bucks. I just divided them. And my strawberries are having fruit right now already in April. So once it's ready, I'm going to let my baby pick it. Gita Beats, you look 15. Is it like 15 years old? Or I'm very flattered if you say I look 15 years old. What are your favorite companion plants for peppers and why? That's a great question. A good companion plants for peppers is onions, like green onions. The reason for that is because aphids hate onions. Aphids, they can't stand onions. So if you grow onions next to your peppers, you less likely get aphids. And I do grow onions all the time. I mean, like, I just grow them all over the raised bed, so they're just everywhere. And the raised bed that has the most onions are usually the ones that have the least aphids. How do you think strawberries will grow in an Aerogarden? Krista, strawberries will grow great in an Aerogarden, but you can only grow 2 or 3 plants. And even then, it's just too much already. Strawberries would do well in hydroponic. They're just one of those plants that just love the hydroponic nutrients. How do you grow garlic? I grow garlic from the ones that I bought in the stores that if we don't use it in time, they start to sprout. So I just put them in the soil and they just grow. You just have to wait. Mike, yes, scallions are the banes of aphids. You are right. Like as I mentioned, anytime I grow onions, my plants that are next to it, they don't get as many aphids as the rest. Are you growing any citrus? I got yes, I'm growing citrus. I'm growing the Awari mandarin. That's one. And I'm growing the Arctic Frost mandarin. I have a maize lemon that just died because of the Texas snow getting. and my bear's lime was dead because of the crazy snowstorm. So I'm starting over with the bear's lime and the maize lemon. Oh man, I'm getting allergy right now for out of nowhere. Jeff, thanks for joining. Time for bed. Good night, my friend. Good to have you. Do you grow raspberries? I don't grow raspberries. I don't grow any berries really, except strawberries. I just started growing strawberries because my daughter, she mentioned she wants to pick strawberries, and that's the only reason why I grow them. I usually grow the stuff that I like to eat, and I'm not a big fan of blueberries. It's too floral for me, and I'm not a fan of raspberry either. I'm not sure why, and I don't like strawberries. Dingleberries. That's funny. Ethan, Carolina Reapers tips. Okay, so I've grown Carolina Reapers for many years. They are the most sensitive super hots of all the super hots I have grown. So if you grow Carolina Reapers, I suggest you grow it in a pot so that you can move it around. I always grow Carolina in a pot, and when it gets too hot, I move it into the shade because if you leave them in the heat of summer, like in Texas, they drop all of the blooms. Like you will get no fruits at all. So moving it into the shades in the heat of summer will help. So I usually grow them in the pots. Use at least 5-gallon pots, 5 to 10. Steve, yes, I would try mulberry, but I don't really have any more room. Man, there's so many things I want to grow. I tried to grow grapes before, and they started climbing all over the place, and the wife didn't like climbing things. I had to get rid of some of the grapes. I actually had some grape clusters that started to form. Do you still use self-irrigating containers for your peppers? Yes. If you watch my most recent update on the pepper series, I started using the self watering container again. Brian, do Reapers have a good taste? You'd be surprised. It actually tastes pretty good. Reapers are really strange. They have a very nice taste up front, nice and very, very sweet. You'd be surprised that it's sweet. But the problem is once the heat kicks in, you forgot how sweet it is because it's so hot. So yeah, it has a nice flavor, but then you forget how good it tastes because the heat comes and it'll kick your butt. Craig, any advice for cucumbers? I love growing cucumbers. So if you have never grown cucumbers before, there are 3 different types of cucumbers, right? There is the traditional one where it does require pollination. And there's one called the parthenocarpic variety where it does not require pollination. It produces both male and female, and they don't require pollination. And there's one called the gynoecious variety, which produces only the female flowers. And those are the gynoecious and parthenocarpic are the varieties that I love to grow because I don't have to worry about pollination. I grow them inside my grow tent. They just grow on their own. They fruit on their own, and you get cucumbers. Kevin, thanks for joining. Have a good night, buddy. What pepper or tomato do you really want to grow but have not yet able to grow? Oh, yes. I love growing avocados, but there is a mini pineapple avocado varieties that I have not been able to grow because those things, they're very difficult to sprout. Maybe because I just got bad seeds or whatever. But I tried to grow those, and they took forever to sprout. And then when they came up, the season was already, towards the end of the season. And then when they got big, they started to produce flowers. Then the cold weather came and killed it. So yeah, the pineapple avocados is one that I have not been able to grow. Angel, if you froze the peppers and it's wet, most likely the seeds have already been damaged. Usually you want to freeze your seeds in a dry method, like how the seed bank, they freeze the seeds at very low temperature, but they keep it very dry, and that's the only way to get the seeds to sprout when it's frozen. And I have actually tested this. I froze like hundreds of my white Thai varieties in my refrigerator, just inside the pod itself. I didn't do anything to it. And then after a month, I took it out and I took the seeds out and I dried it and I tried to sprout it. None of them sprout. So yeah, I mean, if you froze your peppers inside your refrigerator and it's wet, it's most likely it's not going to sprout. Roger Reb, thank you so much for the donation, my friend. Yep, and beam me up. You're right. The water explodes the cells. Yes, that's right. You have to freeze it dry. You know, that's how the seed bank does it. They keep the seeds in a very cold temperature, but it's dry, so the seeds in there are fresh. Yeah, you have to find a way to keep the seeds very dry and then freeze them, and then that's the only way to get them, you know, to sprout. There are some varieties. The reason they take months to sprout is because the seeds are very old. Most, if you harvest your seeds like 6 months ago, they usually take around 7 to 10 days to sprout. If you buy seeds online, you don't know how long they have kept the seeds for. It could be 2 years, it could be 3 years. And the older the seeds, anything that's over a year old, it could take 2 weeks to sprout, maybe sometimes a month. I bought some plants before, or seeds before, and many of the seeds sprouted, and it's already a large plant, and then all of a sudden there's a little sprout in there for some reason. It sprouted like a month after. It's weird. Yeah, so some seed will take months to sprout, but you know, by then I would probably already given up. Wow, we have 120 people. Hello, everybody. Good to have you. Angel, thank you so much for the donation, my friend. I'm glad you get some of the information. Top 5 whiskeys. Oh, man. I could name like the top 100 top whiskeys, but it depends. Do you have a price range? Because, you know, I love whiskey. I love whiskey. I love bourbon. I love Scotch. One of my favorite right now, this here is amazing. And I just got this, you know, accidentally. I just went to Total Wine and I bought it. I want something that's cast strength, and I bought it. And, you know, I want something nice and peaty and smoky. And so I just took a chance, and man, I loved it. I actually love it more than the Lagavulin. The Between the Lagavulin 16 and the Ambrut right here, I think this one's much better. Weedy boy, thank you so much for the donation. I'm a boozer. Okay. Top beers. I love local beers. So when I was in Seattle, right, there's this place that I used to go to, and they have Manny's. If you're in Seattle, Manny's is the local beer there, and it's amazing. I love Manny's. And for here in Texas, the Revolver Blood and Honey. I love Blood and Honey, and you know the regular stuff, the Guinness and all that stuff. So yeah, I mean, I love all kinds of beers. I love mostly IPA is my favorite. I love IPA, and I also love dark beer like the Guinness. Yes, you know, it's very surprising, but India make amazing whiskey. Also, Taiwan makes awesome whiskey. If you have tried what is it called, the Cavalan Solus series is amazing, guys. If you ever had a chance to pick up a bottle, they're very difficult to find because they won so many different awards, and now they're just flying off the shelf. So the Cavalan Solus. The Phenobarique, amazing stuff. If you can find one, get it. So I'm getting sidetracked here. I'm going from peppers to whiskey to beers and all that stuff. But you know, it's Friday, right? We can talk about whatever. Rustbach, I should make my own beer. You know, I should make pepper beers, like infused lemon starburst beers. Oh, have you guys ever seen some of the videos that I did where I infused vodka with peppers? Oh man, you should watch that. It is crazy. Where can we find your seeds of your varieties? If you join Pepper Lovers community, people they trade seeds there all the time, so you can go there. Can you grow hops? You know, I looked into growing hops, but hops are just vine stuff, so I can't grow it. I'm not allowed to grow vines. maybe when I need to move to a farm or something, you know, so I can get like a huge space of land, and then I'll grow some hops and all that stuff. And then make some pepper, you know, pepper beer. Beam, are you gonna send me hops, or what are you sending? You sending seeds? Oh man, Reaper IPA. Oh man, that would be amazing. I mean, you know, it'll taste refreshing and burning at the same time. I wonder why they still haven't made it yet. You know, I've had the sriracha beers. Have you guys seen a sriracha beer before? It doesn't taste that great, but you know, it's a cool looking beer bottle. It looks just like a sriracha hot sauce bottle, but it's a beer bottle. I bought it for fun. It didn't taste too good. Yes, no crawlies on the house. Have you grown Big Jim chili peppers? I have not, but someone sent me a Big Jim before. Sage, yes, I do need a couple acres. You know, I quit my job and just work on the farm, just growing hops and beers, and you know, peppers and all that stuff. Yeah, let me go into the chat to see if I have more questions, guys. Usually, again, I talk too much and I forget to read the. RD, what are your worst pests, plant and fungus issues in Texas? Man, fungus. Okay, so I have last year, my fruit trees, the pear trees, I had the rust fungus. That was the worst I've ever seen. I mean, the fruits look disgusting. I had to pick up all of the fruits and I had to treat the entire tree. So that was the first time I learned about the rust on pears. So this year I use a lot of preventive measure to get rid of that. But yeah, that was the worst thing that I've seen. As for worst pest, aphid is always on my top of my list. I hate aphids. They're the worst. And tomato hornworms are sometimes the big issues, but I learned how to deal with them now. But yeah, aphids and rust, man, I hate those things. They're just crazy. Weedy boy, you think I can? I mean, I would love to have a farm. You know, I would be breeding peppers like all day long and growing like all kinds of stuff. Tomatoes, breed tomatoes, tobacco. I love growing tobacco. Maybe I start breeding those too. Oh yes, white flies are a pain. I've had issues with white flies before, and it took about, you know, you have to be consistent with white flies. You can't leave you leave them around. You got to treat, and you got to treat every other day until you get rid of the whole population, because if one or two survive, they come right back. Aside from peppers, what are your other plants? I grow a lot of vegetables. Um, if you follow me on Instagram, you will see a lot of the stuff that I posted. Like I grow fruit trees, vegetables, herbs. I mean, I grow mostly anything that don't climb, except cucumbers. I can grow cucumbers because I can kind of control them. I grow cantaloupes, watermelons. I'm very excited about this year because I got this Japanese melon variety that I'm growing in hydroponic right now, and wow, I just can't wait for it to grow. I need to show you guys. I'm recording a video right now, so hopefully it's a success. Cheers, guys and gals. Oh man, Leon, you transplanted a bunch of your plants and you lost 50% because of chilly weather. Yeah, that's I've dealt with that before. It sucks. Sometimes you thought that the weather would be already good, and then all of a sudden the cold snap would come and destroy it. Man, that's terrible. I always have backups though, you know. I grow like 2 or 3, and I keep them as backup. And then sometimes I give the backups away to my friends and stuff like that. Roger, I've grown sugar babies before, and I actually did a sugar babies in hydroponic. Um, you'll be surprised. They taste exactly the same as when you grow it in soil. Mike, you're dealing with aphids right now. You're using neem soap. How long does it usually take to get rid of them? You know, sometimes it takes just a few days. If you have to spray up and down all over the plants. You have to kill all of them, and then that's how you get rid of them. But you know, I have aphids right now in the garden, like all over the place. But the thing is, I also have these parasitic wasps that are all over the place as well. They hunt the aphids, and they control the aphids for me actually. So you know, my aphids problem is not that. I mean, I see aphids all over the place, but the thing is, there's only 5 or 6 of them at a time on a certain plant, because the parasitic wasp is like keeping those things under control right now. So you know what you should do is, you know, if you fertilize too much, like if you fertilize too much with nitrogen content in your soil, you're gonna immediately notice a boom in aphids right away. Aphids are so attracted to plants that are weak, and also they're attracted to plants that are fertilized with too much nitrogen. You're going to see them. So you know, keep your soil balanced, you know, and don't over fertilize for one, and grow many different type of plants that would attract other animals, not animals, sorry, insects, to come to your garden, and it would take care of the aphids for you. But also, when you spray with neem and soap, make sure you spray it when the sun is not out, because the soap can damage the leaves of your plants. So try to do it in the afternoon when the sun is down, and that's the best time to spray it. So you know, repeat it. You know, do every 3 days until they're gone. How do you get rid of fungus gnats? Half of my seedlings die. Is it because are you growing inside or outside? Indoors is fungus gnats. Fungus gnats is always a problem when you grow inside. So use the type of soil that you know potentially does not have fungus gnats. So I made a video on fungus gnats. You know, you buy these soil that don't have them, but if you already have them inside, what you can do is you use this thing called the mosquito bits. Mosquito bits, they have the BT in it or something like that. And what it does is you mix it with your water, and then you water your plants, and that would kill the larvae of the fungus gnats. And you just continue that for a week, and usually they'll get rid of the whole population. They can't, you know, without the larvae, they can't become an adult. And when they can't become an adult, they can't fly around and lay eggs again. But yeah. So fungus gnats thrive in moisture. In moisture. So if you have a lot of moisture and organic matter, that's how they multiply. So if you can also, a way to do it, if you keep the top 2 inch of soil dry. Some people use sand, but you know the thing with sand is it's very heavy. It will weight down on the soil. So the best way is to use preventive measure by using the correct type of soil. You know, if you go to Home Depot and you see those soil bags laying around, and the bags will have been picked up by people and they have holes in it, and the holes would allow the fungus gnats to go in there and lay eggs. And if you bring the soil home, you're definitely going to get fungus gnats. So buy the soil type that are inside bags that have no holes, that are kept indoors. There's a brand that I use called ProMix, and it works great over the years for me. I have no fungus gnats issue at all, unless I bring the soil from the outside into my tent. Have you had any experience growing carrots from seeds? Yes, I have grown. I'm actually growing carrots right now in my garden from seeds. They grow pretty well. Carrots, they do prefer cooler temperature. That's the thing. If you're trying to grow carrots in the summer, they may not do too well. Why do your pepper seedlings take forever to grow? Especially, okay, so if your seedlings take forever to grow, it could be multiple reasons. One is because the temperature is not warm enough. Uh, Pepper plants prefer temperature between 75 degrees to 80 degrees to be, you know, to grow the best. If it's too cold, they're not going to grow. They're just going to grow very slow. That could be the reason. Also, if you water too much, if you have too much water in your soil, your plants will not grow. It takes forever to grow. It could even look sick. So yeah, those are some of the reasons. And if you're not giving enough light, they're not going to grow either. Kurt, I've made a video recently about the Pro Mix. It's the red Pro Mix. I forgot what it's called. It's a red bag. It's just Pro Mix, and it's great for seed starting. It's great for mixing with your garden soil and all that stuff. And Walmart has it, and the bags usually are very tough, and fungus gnats can't get in it. There's no holes in there. So those are the soil that I've been using. Demps, AA Demps. When you do your pepper cross, how many F1 do you grow out? You know, the thing is, when you grow the F1, usually I just get one pod, of course, because usually you don't cross that many, you cross 1 or 2 pods. And usually I grow from that 1 or 2 pods, but the F2 is when you need to grow like multiple pods, like 5 or 10 plants from different pods, and then you will see different results. And then you pick the best traits and keep going forward with that. That's how I usually do it. F1, usually I use maybe one pod, maybe 2 pods, but usually just one. And then F2 is when you need to grow from multiple pods, like as many as you can. And then you're going to see so many different variations. Witty Boy Gaming, thank you so much for the donation, my friend. What do you think about Miracle Grow? They're okay. I mean, I usually don't buy Miracle Grow because I mix my own soil. I have a local landscaping company here where you can buy organic compost. And then once you buy the organic compost, you just buy some perlite, vermiculite, and all that stuff. You mix together and mix your own potting mix. And that's the cheapest for me. You know, you can buy it by the cubic yards, and they're much cheaper than buying it in bags. So yeah, I don't use the Miracle Grow, but I think they're okay. A lot of people say there's a lot of fungus gnats in them, but I don't think it's because of Miracle Grow. I think all the bags around that are laying with holes in them will have fungus gnats, not just Miracle Grow. You can plant in ground as soon as the temperature is above 55 degrees Fahrenheit. So you can keep the temperature above 55 Fahrenheit. You can plant in the ground anytime you want. It could be even lower than that, but I don't recommend planting in ground lower than 55 degrees. It's just not gonna, your plants are not gonna grow at all anyway. So yeah, try to keep them warm and they will grow. You know, it's difficult to do. My potting mix is very simple, really. I use majority of organic compost that I bought from my local landscaping company, and then I would like, I don't really have a measure. I just grab like 3 handful of perlite and vermiculite per 5 gallons, a little bit of worm casting in there, and some peat moss, and then just mix them all up. You know, maybe one of these days I should keep the exact percentage, and then that way I can share it with you guys. I've been using Master Blend, but want to know your thoughts on Master Blend versus Aeroguard. Okay, so I've used both Master Blend and Aeroguard nutrients. And as far as being effective, you know, making your plants grow and being affordable, the Master Blend is definitely outperformed the Aerogarden. You know, it's much cheaper, and for grown vegetables, they're amazing. I mean, the Aerogarden is only easy because there's just one part. The Master Blend has 3 parts that you have to mix correctly. That's the only issue. It's just harder to use. And if you follow the instructions, the Master Blend is the way to go. It's much cheaper and it's more effective. It works much better. Oh, Steve Rogers, there you go. There's 30% peat cocoa, 30% perlite. Perfect. There you go. Thanks for that. Yeah, worm castings is amazing, guys. It's they don't call it liquid gold. I mean, what is it? Black gold for no reason. It is amazing. It is expensive, but if you can make your own worm casting, it's the way to do it. If your backyard soil is just clay, then you can dig up the clay and mix in, you know, as Steve Roger mentioned, like perlite, cocoa, vermiculite, and then mix them all together, and it'll soften up your soil. You can also shred, like if you have hay, like dry hay, you just shred them up, and then you mix it into your soil. That could also you know, loosen them up, and also the hay can break down as nitrogen for the plant. So yes, definitely peat moss with clay. Clay is great. I mean, having clay mixed into your soil is actually good because clay can hold water really well. But clay alone is not good because it could be very compacted. It's very heavy. It dries quickly, and it makes water run right off. If you don't have a way to retain the water, it just runs right off the clay. The cow manure, yes, I do use cow manure too. I add cow manure to my mix, and it's great. But don't use too much cow manure when you're trying to start your seedlings. It could burn them because it could be very strong. What is the tallest one of your pepper plants have reached? Uh, let's see. My Pekin probably reached around 5 feet tall. Uh, I had a few Scotch bonnet that grew pretty tall, but usually they're around 3 to 4 feet. Most of the, like the ricotta varieties, they grow like vines, so they stretch very, very tall. But yeah, that's the probably one of the reasons I don't grow ricottas, because they're so viney. Yes, if you live in NYC, it's still cold. You can definitely start your seeds inside, germinate inside. If you live in the places where the season is short, it's always best to start your seeds inside, like 2 to 3 months before you take it outside. Excuse me. That way, when you take it outside, the plants will already have a head start and it will produce very quickly. And then before the season ends, you will get pods. So yes, if you live in a short season place, start them early inside, and then take them outside, and then give them a head start. How long does it typically take for pepper seeds to sprout? It depends. If you have fresh seeds, 7 to 10 days. If you have seeds that are older than a year, it could be 1 week to 2 weeks. If seeds are 2 years, it could take up to like 4 weeks. So yeah, it depends on the type, the seeds that you're growing. What peppers do you suggest to stake up or cage? Again, I think the ricotta varieties, those that grows like vines, they usually need to be staked. But other varieties like the Chinense varieties, if you provide them with enough light all the time, they will grow very strong, and the structure will, and the of the trunk will be very, very strong, and you don't need to stake them at all. How many pepper varieties am I growing this year? I think 20 or over 20. I wanted to stay under, but man, it never works. I always go over. Should I top my peppers or not? Well, it depends. I just did a update recently. I covered the topping issue, the topping topic. The only reason you should top your plants is if you want to set them back. Let's just say you've grown your plants in your grow tent and they just grow out of control and you can't take them outside yet, and you need to keep them small, and then you can top and trim and prune to keep them under control. But if your plant is a good size and they're ready to go outside, the temperature is good enough, then don't top them. Another reason you can top them is if you grow them. Let's say you have a bright window, right, and you grow them, but the plants are so stretchy that they start to fall over and the trunk is weak. Then you can top them to to reduce the height of them flipping over, and then have them build a nice structure of the trunk before you take them outside. Then you can top them that way. Also, instead of topping your peppers, you can always pinch off the flowers. Just pull them all off, and that will allow the plants to focus back into growing instead of fruiting. Because once the plants start to fruit, they slow down in growing, and you're going to have a small plant. What pepper types do you think taste the worst, in your opinion? Man, the thing is, I don't like the taste of ghost peppers raw. Like, I don't like to eat them at all because they're very flowery, like very floral, like a perfume. Like, you smell them when you eat them, it's almost like inhaling perfume. And that's what people say when the pepper is too floral. So the ghost variety, like the red ghost, is very floral. When I eat them, I almost kind of gag a little bit. But when I dry them up in a powder and make pepper powders out of them, they actually taste great. So for me, I guess that is one of my worst tasting peppers. I just don't like the taste of ghost peppers. Krista, good night. Thanks for joining. Have a good evening and the rest of your weekend. Ethan, tips for habanero. Habaneros are some of the easiest plants or pepper variety to grow. They're very easy. What I would recommend is at least a 5 gallons container. Your soil needs to be soft and fluffy. Don't use compacted soil, like too much clay. Don't water too much because pepper plants do love water, but they love a thorough water, and then wait for the soil to dry up again before you give another thorough water. That's how you should water your plants. And give them plenty of sun. But if you give them too much sun, like high temperature sun, like 90 degrees Fahrenheit and higher, then they may struggle a little bit. Move them into a part shade then. But yeah, that's it. They're very easy. Mike, I've from parties that I go to, I always tell people, don't throw the spoons away. Put it in a recycled container so I can take them. And I have used those spoons for the past 3 or 4 seasons. I mean, every season, all you have to do is get a little alcohol wipe and just wipe the labels off, and you can reuse the spoon for like many seasons. That's how I label my plants using spoons. RS, have you ever crossed or heard of a tepin and a reaper? Yes, there is a reaper crossed with a tepin before. I've seen it. I think Pucker Butts have done that, and they are selling seeds on their company, on their website. Living the dream. Definitely, I cannot do floral taste. It just kills me. So yeah, I'm on the same boat as you. I can't eat the ghost pepper because the floral taste. Where did you get your lemon starburst seeds? Oh, you're asking music fan. You can trade for it on Pepper Lovers Community on Facebook. Lorenzo, live in California Central Valley. Summer reaches 110. Oh man, yeah, 110 is too much for peppers. So get some shade cloths, like 40% shade cloths, and put over the plants, and they will do fine. Cheers, everybody. My throat is dry. I've been talking too much. Any tips for getting rid of caterpillars on cucumber plants? Yes, you can actually spray with the BT if that's your last resort. You can spray BT. You can buy those at Home Depot. They show you how to mix them, and the BT will kill off all of the caterpillars. Supposedly they're natural, so try that. Also, the best way is to attract other insects into the garden that eats the caterpillars, like the wasp or these flies, the parasitic wasps and all that stuff. They'll eat up the caterpillars like crazy. Did you go to plant college? No, I did not. I did not go to plant college. A lot of the stuff I learned is from growing stuff with my grandfather when I was a child. And also I learned a lot from Pepper Lovers Community on Facebook. Like if you have questions, just post it. There's so many people there that just are just full of knowledge, and they would love to help you. And so, yeah, I mean, there's pests that I've never seen before that I didn't know. And, I just ask people on there, and they just tell me how to treat them. Barnyard chicken. You do have a lot of wasps. Yes, we do as well. I have a ton of paper wasps everywhere in the garden. Every day I go out in the garden, I see around 5 to 10 of them flying around. They're just all over the place. And I love those guys. They look intimidating, but they're very harmless to people. Just don't bother them. They just let them, go on with their thing. They usually avoid you. You get close, they'll fly away, and they'll just fly around. They'll hunt for caterpillars, and they'll eat them. Sometimes you even see them eat the hornworms and tear them up into pieces and take them back to the nest. It's crazy. But yeah, I see that all the time. Cats always messing up your garden and digging it up. I think there's a few plants that you can plant that would deter the cats. I'm not sure. Angel Kane graduated from Pepperdine University at Pepperdine. If you planted your seeds when the temperature is cold, is it possible to recover? Yes, your seeds are not going to be damaged by the cold weather unless the soil froze over. And if the temperature is just cold and the seed is still in the soil, they're not going to sprout. They're just going to wait until the season is warm, because pepper seeds do have a very tough casing around that protect it. So that's why sometimes, if your peppers drop in the garden, the next season you see seedlings will sprout because they're protected into the next season when the temperature is warm. The only way that you can completely kill the seed is if the ground is frozen solid for an extended period, and that's the way, then the seeds will die. But other than that, if the ground is not frozen, your seeds will be okay. Just keep it warm, and you'll see it may even sprout. Do I use a Q-tip to help fertilize pepper blossoms? Roger, no. Peppers are self-pollinator. The pollen drops onto the pistil, like, the pollen is like surrounding the little thing in the center. I forgot what it's called. But it drops. All you have to do is shake the plant, and it will drop onto and fertilize itself. So there's no need to use a toothbrush. There's no need to use a Q-tip, or the little buzzing bee that people use to trigger the flower to drop, the pistil, to drop pollen. All you have to do is give it a shake. That's it. That's all you have to do. That's why the wind does it for you outside. There's no need to buy extra tool to help you pollinate, whatever. Just shake the plant, give it a nice shake, and you're good to go. Like sometimes people try to sell you these pollinator that is not needed. I mean, there's no need to have a pollinator to help shake the flowers. It's just ridiculous for me. And I don't know. I guess people don't know that, and some people buy those extra stuff that you really don't need. Luigi, all the way from the Philippines. Hello. Glad to have you here. Wow, I've been talking for 1 hour and 34 minutes already. Let me go and read some questions. Can pepper plants be sterile? I haven't seen anyone that I've grown that are sterile, but you can have sterile seeds by bad crossing, like crossing varieties that are incompatible, and then it will produce pods. But the pods, the inside, the seeds are all bad. They're sterile seeds because let's just say you cross a chinense with an annuum, something like that. Most likely you will get seeds that are infertile or semi-fertile, meaning out of 100 seeds, maybe you get like 2 seeds that may sprout into a new plant. But pepper plants are not sterile. They will produce pods if you have flowers on them and all that stuff. Oh, hormones can spawn seedless pods. Oh, I didn't know that. Yes, you can cross a ghost with a cayenne, and you know you never got seed to sprout. And the thing is, let's just say you got pollen from the ghost and you cross it onto the cayenne, you may get it to sprout. But if you get pollen from the cayenne and put it onto the ghost, they will not sprout. That's the thing. So, when you cross peppers, usually do it both ways. And for example, I did the Scotch bonnets, right, with the Thai pepper. Supposedly they're not supposed to have fertile seeds, and I got it to sprout both ways. So yeah, you can do that. I mean, usually most of the times, chinense are best compatible with chinense varieties. Annuum is best with annuum, but you can crossbreed them. But the problem when you crossbreed them is when they produce very few seeds. And so out of like 10 pods, you may get like 5 or 6 seeds, something like that. Roger Rev, thank you so much, my friend, for the donation. Yeah, so I crossed a Scotch bonnet with a Thai pepper. I did it both way, and I got both of them to grow. I call them the Misery Sweet and the Sweet Misery. So check out my my review on them. They're amazing peppers, and they're crazy hot too. Steve Roger, you learned the bags from my channel. It's the best method, and it's so cheap to do. Steve Roger, like Captain America, right? Board eats. I do give seeds away all the time. I mean, I'll do another giveaway soon. I need to pick some good varieties to give out. Luigi, I do give seeds out all the time. I usually don't send it overseas because it's very difficult for me to send it overseas. But in the Philippines, there are many people that are growing it there. So if you go to Facebook and join Pepper Lovers, you will find people from the Philippines that are already growing the lemon starburst, and you can trade with them. They can even give it to you. What is my favorite, hands down? The pepper. My favorite, hands down, is the lemon starburst, of course. There's no other peppers more pretty than that one. And besides that, I love the King Star White Thai, and I love the MOA Scotch Bonnet. It is the best Scotch Bonnet variety that you can grow. It tastes amazing. It looks amazing. It's just all the good stuff. So with the lettuce, are you doing Asian lettuce? Yes, I'm growing a ton of lettuce. I'm growing the Celtis lettuce, which is an Asian variety. And you eat those for the stems. They call stem lettuce or asparagus lettuce. And yes, I'm growing those. They're just awesome. Cute kitty, thank you so much for the kind words. Have you ever crossed a Brazilian starfish with anything? No, and I think I should, because I love Brazilian starfish. That is, oh, you know what? That is one of my other favorite variety. I love Brazilian starfish. Man, I grew it a few seasons ago, and they produce so much, and the pods are really beautiful, and they're tasty. They taste like a fruit, and then you get a little kick out of them. So every time I work in the garden, I'll pick like 3 or 4 or 5 of them, and I just eat them as I work. They're just amazing. So yeah, I speak highly of the Brazilian starfish, guys, but grow them. If you have not grown Brazilian starfish, you should try it one time. You're gonna be hooked forever. They're great eating raw. You eat them in a salad. You can pickle them. You can probably do other stuff with them. Oh man, ADO 2016. Thank you so much for the donation, my friend. Appreciate that. Thank you. What is my favorite pak choy recipe? You know, I'm very simple. I usually like to eat them. I boil them like a quick stir fry with sesame oil and a little garlic and butter, and that's it. It's very, very simple, and that's the way I like to enjoy them. Cook them very lightly. I also make chicken noodle soups with pak choy, and it's great. And you know, I don't cook really, so I think it's very, very. I keep things very simple. You know, and also if you like pak choy, you should also grow tatsoi. And it's very similar in taste, but the tatsois, the leaves are smaller, and they grow really nice and bunched up together, and you get a ton of seed. I mean, it's not seeds, but leaves. They're much smaller leaves, but they're nice and tender if you harvest them early. And yeah, they're just great. They can grow in summers, winter, spring, every season. If you overwater plants in pots, the roots die. How come they don't die in hydroponic? Because in hydroponic, what happened is the roots, you know, the plant, they kind of evolve. So in hydroponic, the plants will be forced to produce two different types of roots. There's water roots and there's air roots. And if you grow it in a non-circulating method, what happens is as the water level drops, right, the roots will grow longer and longer and longer to get it. The roots that are in water are water roots. They are adjusted to grow in water, and that's what takes up the nutrients. And the roots around the air area is the air roots. You're going to see little fuzzes out of them, and those are the roots that takes up oxygen. So the plants evolve, and it knows how to do that. But if you grow it in soil, the plant doesn't know. It just knows that it's in soil, so it can't, you know, evolve and change. And so all of a sudden, if you fill the container with too much water, the same way in hydroponic, like if you refill all the way to the top, the plants no longer know how to thrive. It's going to die. So in soil, the plants will only know how to grow soil roots. It doesn't have to air roots. So when you drown the root, it's just going to die. So that's the basic simple explanation right there. No, well, depends. If you grow in DWC, DWC is deep water culture. Deep water culture, you can drown the roots, but in deep water culture, you have an oxygen pump that pumps air constantly into the water, and the plants will never drown regardless of how high the water is. So if you grow in the cracky method or the non-circulating method, as the water drops, you cannot refill it all the way up. If you refill it all the way up, you will drown the air root the same way you drown the roots in your soil. So yeah, there's two methods to it. Yeah, so I hope that answers your question. Yes, board eats tatsois are amazing. You should try to grow them. They taste a little bit like pak choy, but also the texture of spinach. A little bit tougher than spinach, but good. Is it better to remove leaves when growing peppers? Yes, you should prune peppers. Like say, for example, if you're growing peppers, right, and you have leaves that are hanging over it that are touching the soil, prune the leaves off, because leaves that are touching the soil will cause bacteria or algae and all that not algae, sorry, fungus and all that stuff to get onto your plants. So if the plants have leaves hanging over touching the soil or whatever, you can prune those off, and that would help to actually help the plants. Also, if you have too much leaves all over the place, air flows cannot go through, and without the airflow in the middle, it's gonna have like kind of like a concentration of humidity that will cause the fungus to grow in the middle. So airflow is very important. So trimming and pruning is actually a good idea at times. Look, there you go. My camera stopped focusing. You tried growing method before, but no luck. Do you need to change water all the time? No, you don't need to change water all the time. So if you're growing in a cracky method, right? When the plants are small, it takes them like a month to start to drink the water up. So in the month, you don't need to change it. But as the plants get older and bigger, it'll start to drink a lot all the time. So you can refill, but don't refill more than 3 times. Change the water out after 3 times. Fresh nutrients, but when you change the water out, remember there's air roots and there's water roots. If you drown the air roots by refilling all the way up to the top, you're gonna kill your plants by drowning it. So if the roots is down to here, when you refill, you can actually refill to the same level or just an inch above it, but not all the way. So that's how to keep your plants alive in a cracking method. Any tips on growing hydroponic tomatoes? You know, I just made a video recently on how to grow hydroponic tomatoes. I grow it in hydroponic DWC method and cracking method. They all would do just as well. They grow amazing in hydroponic. So yeah, just check out a bunch of my videos that I already made, and all the tips are already in there. So, you know, if you watch the video, you're going to get more information from that than me telling you right now. Can you put hydroponic solutions to potted soil instead of granular fertilizer? Yes, you can use hydroponic solutions in your soil. The problem is don't use it very often because hydroponic solutions can often leave buildups. You know, like if you grow in an Aerogarden or somewhere, after time you will see that calcium buildup. That's what happens. It build up in your soil. So if you use it too often without flushing the soil out between each uses, then you're going to get buildup and it's going to start affecting your soil plants. So use it like, you know, once every 3 to 4 weeks or something like that. And then in between those, you know, water thoroughly, clean it out, you know, dilute it, and then you don't get buildup and your plants will do fine. But hydroponic solution can be used in soil. If you grow cracky, inoculation with bacillus what can help. Maybe is that something for the roots? Cheers, everybody. Wow, it's getting late. Wow, people are still joining. Thank you everyone for being here. I didn't think I was gonna stay on this long, but yeah, people are asking really interesting questions about hydroponic, and I'm gonna try to answer most of them as I can. My cracky bell pepper leaves are also huge. No flowering yet. Should I change something to help flowering, or should just I wait? Sometimes if the plant is not ready to flower, they will not flower. So just allow them to grow. And once they start to bloom, depending on what fertilizer or nutrients you're using, you can actually switch to a bloom fertilizer, and that will help with setting fruits and putting out more flowers. But yeah, you don't need to change anything. If your plants look healthy, but it's not putting out flowers, that's because the plant is not ready to put out flowers. So just let it go and let it grow as big as it wants to before it puts out flowers, and then you're gonna get a ton of flowers on a very healthy large plant. Aerial productions. Yes, you know, when I grow in solar cups, my plants love to produce flowers so early. And sometimes I have to pinch the flowers off or even pinch the top and top it to keep it under control, you know? So yeah, the thing with peppers is it knows when you grow it in a small containers, the roots will reach the bottom and it will start to circle around and around and becomes root bound. And when the plants become root bound, it will trigger a signal to the plant to say, hey, I have no more room to grow. I'm going to start putting out flowers right now. And that's what happened. Notice if you grow it in a larger container, it doesn't do that. And that's because the roots know that there's more room to stretch. So they won't produce flowers until they start to stretch really well. But yeah, small containers will always produce fast. Brett Clark, is the color of salad bowl lettuces just all genetics? Mine are really purple. You know what? I have never seen a salad bowl lettuce purple before. Mine is always light green, kind of like a really light neon green. But I have not seen a purple salad bowl. It could be a different variety. But yeah, if you have a purple one, that's great. Wow, pretty. I bet it looks pretty. Okay, Richard, yours is purple too. So I guess you guys have a different variety than mine. Mine is very neon green kind of. Why do some of my seedlings that are grown in soil suddenly wilting and the leaves curled? Inspected for mites, found none. What do you think could be done to avoid this? Are you watering too much? Sometimes you water too much, that could happen. Also, if you have all of a sudden introduce them to a different environment, that could happen. Wind, like wind, you know, amazingly, wind can also harm the seedling. You know, all of a sudden, like say if you grow it indoors, right? And then you take it outside. The weather is nice and great and everything, and you would think nothing would happen to it. The wind would actually dry it up also. So it depends. It could be because something changed in the condition of the grow environment. It could be too hot, to be too cold. You introduce new airflow or something like that, that could affect it. Sugar Rush are like the craziest varieties I've ever grown. I love those things. They produce like crazy. I call the Sugar Rush the weed of pepper varieties because you cannot kill that plant. They'll grow in any conditions. Do you think I could use Calmac Plus as my only nutrient for hydroponic lettuce? No, you cannot use only Calmac. Calmac is calcium and magnesium. And calcium and magnesium actually does help the plant stay nice and green, but the calcium also helps the plants to produce fruit. So if you use that only, it's not going to do well for your plants. Lettuce don't need Calmac. It actually needs uh, like the nitrogen, because lettuce is leafy greens. Leafy greens love high nitrogen contents. So don't use Calmac only for lettuce. It's a bad idea. You may be even wasting money because Calmac is very expensive. If you grow lettuce and you want the best result that is cheap, use the Master Blend. Man, those things grow lettuce like nothing else. Does crossing have to be with the same species of pepper, like Chinense with Chinense? Yes, Chinense with Chinense will give you the best results, but you can also crossbreed them. Like for me, I crossed a Chinense with an annuum. I call it the Misery Sweet and the Sweet Misery. I crossed a Scotch bonnet with a Thai pepper and reverse it, and it works. The problem is when you cross when you crossbreed peppers, what happens is it either creates fertile seeds that are very few seeds, or infertile seeds, which is seeds that won't sprout at all. Also, it's just like if they're not compatible, and when you successfully cross them, most of the seeds in the entire pods will be just non-fertile. For example, I was working on a omnicolor cross with a white tie, and out of 100, maybe 150 seeds that I collected, only one plant sprouted. So you see, there is incompatible variety. It's crossbreeding. What peppers am I growing right now? I grew a ton of different varieties. Let's say I grow. I'll name the ones that I'm most excited about. I'm growing the Jay's Peach Ghost Scorpion cross with a Primo. I'm growing the Cali Reaper, which is Jay's Peach Ghost Scorpion cross with a Reaper. And I am also growing the Brazilian Starfish, my favorite. And the regular Jay's Peach Ghost Scorpion. I love Jay's Peach, if you haven't noticed. And of course, my own varieties like the Lemon Starburst, the Peach Star Kiss, the Scarlet Rose, the Super Pekins, the Lingria, and the Linzo, and I mean, there's just, the list goes on. But I'll show you more in the future. Matt, what do you think of the fanboys who idolize you on POC? I don't know anyone that would idolize me on POC. Let's see. Can you cross a bell pepper with a habanero? You know what? I don't know, but I think somebody crossed a bell pepper with a Scotch bonnet. They call it the Scotch bell. So the Scotch bonnet and the habanero is in the same family. So I would say yes. Chaotic Bacon. First time you crossed my live stream. Thank you for joining. And maybe you can catch more in the future ones. You got to shout out to my boy Ron. What's his last name? Ron Skotniski. Yeah, Ron's cool. Ron's a great guy. I mean, he's just, you know, he just loves growing peppers. So very cool guy, I would say. Ron, if you're watching, hello. You know, Ron is just a really nice guy. I mean, I've seen so many people you know, leaving bad comments to Ron, and he never get upset. So that's one thing about Ron that is just amazing. He doesn't get upset over mean comments, which is really cool. How did I get into growing chili peppers? I think it's because I used to live on a farm with my grandfather when I was a child, and we don't just grow peppers, we grow fruits. Like we have orchards and orchards like oranges, jackfruits, durian. I mean, anything you can imagine in Southeast Asia, we grow them. And we grow beans and peas and I mean, basically everything. I remember we have so many grapefruits, right? And the grapefruit trees are usually, we grow them by the pond. And grapefruit, if you know grapefruits, they're just super prolific, and we don't use all of them, and they just keep falling into the water. And you know, they just fall into the water, into our little pond, and just clog it up. And my grandfather used to always have to tell me, hey, can you go down there and you know, dig all of the grapefruits out and throw them out out of the pond. Yes, Angel. Ron doesn't take anything personal. That's the great thing about Ron. You know, so I think that is a great quality. He's just so nice, and he doesn't care about what people say, which is amazing. What do you think of Manzano peppers? The Manzano peppers are great. I love those things. I stuff them. And they look innocent, but they do have a little bite to them. Who is Ron? Ron is a friend of ours on Pepper Lovers community. If you go to Pepper Lovers on Facebook, you're gonna know who Ron is. He posts very often, and he grows a bunch of stuff. Very nice guy. Kenneth, because of me, you've grown 17 varieties of peppers. Wow. Yeah. You know what? I started with like 5, and then I end up with 10, and then 20, and then 30. So you have 17 this year. So next year, you're going to have 34. Peppers, grown peppers are very addicting. It's a great fun, and there's a lot of surprises that come out of it. Have I grown Murasaki purple pepper? No, I have not heard of that name. There's so many different peppers varieties that I want to grow. I just don't have enough room. So, when I come up with a list every season and I have to limit it down to the number that I grow, it is the hardest thing ever. It takes me weeks and weeks and weeks to finally come down to the numbers that I want to grow. And then sometimes I regret not growing certain things. So, sorry, what state do I live in? I live in Texas, the big Texas. Luigi, we grow everything here in Southeast Asia. Yeah, I did too. As a kid, I grew everything. I mean, I don't. It's just amazing. All of the exotic fruits. Well, I mean, they weren't exotic for me at the time because I lived there. Do you like to eat durian fruit? I'm not sure I could. Yes, because I grew up growing them, harvest them, eating them. So it's natural for me to like them. I love them. Some people just can't stand the smell, and I can see why. But for those that love them, the smell is amazing. So it's either you hate it or you don't, or you love it. Roger Red, you have been sick in 6 years because of the rich vitamin C in peppers. Hey, buddy, I agree with you there. There's tons of vitamins in there. And being, not only eating peppers, but also growing things and having a garden and always going out there and doing things outside is also good for your health too, in general. And also growing things and seeing things grow and being happy that it's growing mentally, it also helps, keep your health better, I would say. Oh man, you know what? As I get older, the capsaicin does make me the guts move. That's why I can't eat. Okay, so I cannot eat pickled jalapenos. Man, that thing would make my stomach go crazy. Steve, you saw a video of some guy eating durian as a contest. It has a really weird texture. It's almost custard-like texture, and the smell. I mean, if you don't know the smell and you're smelling it for the first time, it's probably the worst smelling thing ever. But if you grow up like me, on growing durian, whatever, it is the best smell ever. The crazy thing, guys. So I used to grow durian with my grandfather, right? And the craziest thing is, that fruit is the most dangerous looking fruit you will ever see anywhere. It has so much spikes. But the thing is, it never falls during the daytime. It only falls during the night. So that's why, I mean, imagine, you're in the garden in the daytime, that thing fall in your head, it could kill somebody. But yeah, it doesn't fall in the daytime. So what we do is we put nets underneath the plants, the trees, and then at night it falls in the day, and then during the day we just go get them from the net. That's how we harvest durian. You don't need to know if it's ripe or not. If it's ripe, it will fall down in the evening. So that's usually how we how we pick the durian. BHS Bass, thank you. Good to have you. I'll see you again soon. Ed cheese, durian is like soft cheese, tastes great. Yes, it is. It's like custard, right? It's very soft and mushy, and it's just I don't know. I heard I don't know for sure, but I heard in Thailand, in some touristy area, they don't allow you to eat durian in public. Is that true? I'm not even sure. I went to Thailand, but I've never seen that law before. What do you do for work? I work in IT. I usually don't say much more than that because even if I explain, most people don't know what I'm doing. So I work in IT, information technology. Steve, you got a Mars 1000 LED? Yeah, the thing is great. It does get a little bit hot. So if you have a fan you can blow on top of the Mars 1000, it does help extend the life of the light. Jesus, my friend, man, I haven't seen you in a long time. I'm glad you're here. Jesus Rosario, he's from our beautiful paradise where he gets warm weather all the time, so he can grow peppers all year. I live in Zone 8A, so yeah. Benedict, I'm a Bitcoin millionaire. I wish. Nice. JC, Mars Hydro TLS 2000. You're going to set it up tomorrow? That's awesome. You know, I've been grown indoors for many years, and the lights, it is so amazing how the price have gotten so much cheaper. I used to buy these like cheap, really cheap, weak lights for like a couple hundreds, and they literally only cover like one plant, and it's just crazy how much they cost. And now you can get like a nice setup with a tent and everything for like, you know, very nice affordable price. So, you know, if you live in an apartment or you in places where you don't have place to space to grow outside, you know, make a little space for like a 4x2 grow room, and you can grow all kinds of stuff in there. You can grow so much vegetable that you can't even eat them all. Never saw anyone grow anything indoor except wheat before me. Oh man, yeah, you know, that's how it started. People started growing medicinal stuff with the indoor grow room. And now that the price have come down so much, you know, you can grow vegetable. Like I can grow more lettuce than, you know, the entire family, even my extended family can eat. You know, it's just for in a 4x2 room. So 4 feet by 2 feet. That's all you need. And you can grow so much lettuce. I'm telling you, it's just ridiculous. You will have lettuce forever if you space it out correctly. You time it every 2 weeks, start a new plant, and then you will have lettuce forever, because lettuce are one of those plants where you just harvest the leaves and then they'll just grow right back. And so take the leaves as you need them, and they will grow for a long time. Marco, thanks for joining me. Hello, hello. Yeah, I used to use the T5 LED 5000. Um, it was awesome back then, but it was a little bit expensive, and I grew like so many things under the T5. But the problem with the T5 is like when you have to switch out the bulbs is very expensive. Like I think it cost me 30 something dollars per bulb or something like that. I forgot. But then I decided to get rid of the T5 once all of my light, the bulbs went out, and I invested in the LED. LED is the best thing you can do. It's the most efficient, most portable, and it is the cheapest to operate. Cyrus, thank you, my friend. Can I use Aeroguard nutrients for pretty much anything? Seems like you use, yes, you can use Aerogarden nutrients for anything. I grow peppers in it. I grow lettuce in it. I grow tomatoes in it. I grow everything in it. So yes, I even use it for my soil plants. So you can grow Aerogarden for your soil plants too. But that's the same with most, most hydroponic solutions. So, but I do use the Aeroguard nutrients a lot because it's easy. It's just 5 milliliter per gallon, and that's it. Let it go, and you just wait until the plants grow. The morning gardener. Wow, my friend, you're joining me very late. Usually I don't get on this late, but it is towards the weekend, so I have a little bit of a leeway to stay up a little bit later. Whataburger or In-N-Out? Well, I'm from Texas, so Whataburger all the way. We have a In-N-Out right about a few miles from where I live. I'm not a big fan. I'm from the South, so my heart and soul is in Whataburger. We are using VPAR Spectra and am amazed. Yeah, they do make good stuff. The new series that they have looks pretty nice and promising. Very comparable to the Mars Hydro. I've been using the Spider Farmers, the SF4000. Man, that is an amazing light, guys. If you have a 4x4 grow room, the SF4000 is the perfect light setup for it. And I grow amazing peppers. I'm growing a tomato plant right now in there. Oh man, it is fruiting like crazy. I need to do an update on that. I showed it on Instagram a few times, and it is fruiting like crazy. There's like fruits everywhere. The Spider Farmer 1000, yeah, it's a great light setup too for a beginner. The SF 1000 is great. When I use the SF series, I always have a fan above the light because the light does run hot. It heats up. And also because in Texas, the summer is really hot. So with combination of the light and the heat in my garage, man, it gets too ridiculous. So I do have a fan that runs on top of the light blowing. So here's my light right here. I have a fan blowing right down on it. It cools it. It helps a lot. It also circulates the air in your tent, but it also extends the life of your light too, because the way these lights are made, they basically reach capacity of the diodes, so it doesn't last that long, so if you can help cool it, then it will last longer. Ed, you're in Phoenix. Oh man, you're in the desert. Yeah, we get pretty hot too, but I'm sure we're not as hot as Phoenix, Arizona. We do get into the 100 degrees Fahrenheit in the summer every once in a while, but usually we hover around 92 to 95 degrees Fahrenheit in July. It's still pretty hot. Oh, you started seeds under T8. Most of the time, T8s are used for aquarium. I've never used a T8, so I don't really know how well it works. Rex, yes, you can make hand pollinated plants even if your plants are grown outside. The wind will not mess it up because when you hand pollinate, you pick a pepper flower that has not opened yet. It's like this. If you pick one that's open, it's useless. So you pick one that's like a bulb that hasn't opened yet, and then you pollinate that, and that's how you secure, and that's how you make a cross. You don't pollinate an open flower because it may have already been pollinated. Okay, so 120. Wow, that is crazy. I have we don't have it here. I guess thank goodness. That is desert weather. So Ed, under that conditions, what are you growing under 115 degrees? What are like the best plants to grow? Like, let's say if you want vegetables. When you cross species, e.g. Bacatum and Chinense, how do you classify the resulting pods? It's very difficult. I guess if you cross it with a Chinense, then that becomes sort of like a Chinense variety because that's the parent traits come from the Chinense variety. Whatever is the dominant traits, usually you get a similar taste to them. So I did cross a Bacatum with a Chinense, which is a Thai cross with a Scotch bonnet, and it does taste very much like a Scotch bonnet with the shape of a Thai pepper. But it's way bigger though. That's the thing. It's huge. Dan, how do you know which pepper can be cross-pollinated? There's a chili chart. Let me find it for you so it can help you. Let's see here. There's a chili chart that would tell you which varieties are most compatible with each other. But the rule of thumb is if it's a Chinense, it will cross best with a Chinense. If it is an annuum, it will cross best with the annuum. But here's the chart. Check that out. It'll tell you which seeds would be fertile, which seeds would be not fertile, or semi-fertile, and all that stuff. So go by that, and it gives you a guide on what varieties to cross with each other. Yes, Steve Roger, you can graft any pepper variety onto each other. It doesn't have to be the same. And I've done it. I've crossed 9 varieties onto my Thai variety pepper. Did my overwinter pepper plant survive? No, it did not. The crazy Texas weather, the storm that we had, it lasted too long. If it lasted only for 1 or 2 days, it would be fine. But we had 0 degrees for like a week. There's no pepper plant that can stand that because the ground was frozen. Not the top just frozen, the ground is frozen. So when the ground is frozen, it'll kill any pepper variety. So my overwinter plant did not live. All of them died. It's unfortunate, but yeah, I had such great varieties overwintering too. It was sad. Marco, how do you pick which pepper varieties as male versus the female when you cross? You know, it's very difficult to cross this. Basically, what I do is I take the varieties that I love the most, 2 varieties, and then I cross them. And when I cross them both ways because I don't know which cross would work out. So then let's just say I cross a Thai onto the Scotch bonnet, and then I cross the Scotch bonnet onto the Thai, and then whichever comes out, then that's what I grow out, because it's very difficult to determine how it's going to turn out when you cross them. It's almost like a guessing game. I don't really know too much into the scientific details, so it's basically a guessing game for me. Oh, nice, Ed. That's awesome. Maybe you can add like watermelons and all that stuff, because watermelons, there's a certain variety that can withstand really dry climate, like the Desert King. I think there's Desert King watermelon that can. How do you get thicker stems on peppers? Um, to get thicker stems, the plant needs a lot of light. Not a lot of light, but have to be like sufficient and adequate. It has to be the right amount of light. So giving it a lot of sun would definitely give you a strong stem. If you see that your peppers, most of the times people grow inside, you will see your plants reaching for light and stretch and becomes really tall and skinny. That's because you don't have enough light. So if you want a nice strong stem, if you grow inside, lower your light. If you grow outside, put it in a spot where there's a lot of sun, and you will get a really nice strong stem. Did I experience rolling blackouts? Yes, I did. For a few days, we had rolling blackouts. That was terrible. That was the worst I have ever experienced in the time that I'm here in Texas. I've never had that before, where temperature dropped way below, like 30 degrees. It was 0 degrees. I mean, I don't remember the last time we had that for a week. And there was just so much snow that like I couldn't even get out of my driveway. That's how crazy it is. I loved it because we went out into the street and started, sledding around, but it was just crazy snow that I've never seen before. What zone am I in? I'm in 8A zone. And I grow watermelon each year. Usually I'm not very successful with watermelon, but I was able to get a few fruits every season at least, which is I'm happy about that. But last year I grew these black diamond watermelon. I'm never gonna grow black diamond watermelon ever again. That is a horrible variety. They sell it at Home Depot and stuff like that, and the description sounds all amazing and everything. It is terrible. It was the worst variety I've ever grown. It grows enormous, right? And it takes 4 months to even like I already had the fruit. 4 months later, the fruit is still not even ripe yet. I cut it open, it was still green, and the rind was so thick. Yeah, that's the last time I'm growing black diamond watermelon. Do you use Master Blend to fertilize your plants? No, I only use Master Blend when it's in hydroponic. When my plants go outside into the yard, everything becomes organic from there on. I use organic compost that I make. I have worm casting that I also that I buy sometimes, and also I have like I use fish fertilizer, the fish emulsion, and stuff like that. So everything mostly is organic stuff when they go outside. Cameron, you are the king, Kingstar. Thank you very much. Yeah, if you grow pepper plants inside, if you have a fan that blows air and make the plant move like this, it does help strengthen up the stems. That's why plants outside are very strong, because there's always wind condition that make them sway back and forth, and that causes the plant to like toughen up and becomes woody. It does help. Yes, worm casting is superior for sure. They call it black gold. It is the best thing that is natural, the most natural, probably best organic thing you can use. It is just awesome. The plants will love it. What varieties did you grow when you were a beginner? I grew the Thai varieties and a bunch of Thai varieties, really. So yeah, that's my first type of variety that when I was starting now, I grew all kinds of Thai variety peppers. And then I got a hold of the Scotch bonnet, and that changed me for the rest until now. Scotch bonnet is what got me to growing all the other super hots. Yeah, Ed, I would stay away from the black diamond watermelon. I mean, personally, maybe some other people have a better luck with black diamond, but for me, I grew it 2 seasons and I get the same result every season. I would never grow black diamonds again. I would grow sugar baby. That's great. Jubilee is awesome. Let's see, what else did I grow? Uh, Crimson Sweet. Yes, Crimson Sweets are awesome. So yeah, those are the threes that are safe. Scotch bonnets are the best. Yes, they are the best. If you live in the Caribbean, you know they make all kinds of stuff with Scotch bonnets, like the special hot sauce. Melons are very climate dependent. Yes, they are. They love the heat. Shishi. Yes, Bahamian goat is also my top favorite variety as well. Very similar to Scotch bonnet, but very pretty. Love that orange kind of peachy color. And Bahamian goat is a cross that I made. That's how I got the lemon starburst. I love the Bahamian goat so much, and that's how the lemon starburst became the lemon starburst, because of the Bahamian goat. Yes, you're going to love the sugar baby. It is probably the sweetest variety. They don't grow super big. They're very small. So it's I can literally eat like 2 sugar babies in one sitting. I love watermelons. Have I tried to grow space chilies? I saw that before, but I've never grown it myself. Wow, I'm already on for 2 hours and 30 minutes. All right, everyone. I think that's it for me. I'm going to take off now and get ready for bed. Thank you so much for joining me today, and I hope I answered all of the questions for you. It's been a lot of fun. Usually I do my live on Saturday and Sunday in the afternoon between 2 to 4 p.m. I'll try to do more on the weekend, because sometimes I mean weekday, because a lot of people can't join weekend sometimes. So maybe I'll do it again soon. Cooper, go to bed, buddy. Thank you so much. I hope to see you soon, Cooper. Thanks, everybody. Have a good night.